And we could talk. This is fun. All right.
Oh,
Can you hear me still?
I can hear you, and you sound wonderful.
All right. So good. So we're about to kick
And
this
what I was
thing off.
talking about with the reverse trash talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you, buddy.
Well, I don't even know what that is, but I like to find out about it. All right. Ready? Here we go. Wait about a minute and we'll be back on action.
You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jordan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Boom! That's exactly it. Do that. Let's do that. All right, there it goes. Well, Chris Stone is not here today, so we're going to have some issues with this show, but it's going to be totally awesome because of the guest here. And I'm just in an exceptionally good mood. You ever just wake up in a good mood for no apparent reason? I'll tell you, and I've been doing this thing with cold showers. Holy moly. It's like, you actually, if you do it for a little while, it's it's shocking at the beginning, but then you kind of get used to it and your body gets numb, and like the exhilaration lasts for like 25 minutes of real like energetic time, and then it still lasts with you for the day. But I'm not expecting you to do that, because just like eating liver, nobody takes my advice. But I am going to introduce a guy that one of those people that you meet and you kind of hold on to forever. He's just has those ideas and a philosophy about life that you're constantly learning. And I met him from a cold call. So it's like a cold call can turn into a lifelong friendship. And so you ought not to be chicken to do it. So I'm just going to give a brief thing about my man, Chris Shuley. And this is all you need to know right here. Keith is a self-proclaimed venture catalyst. He works with private equity boutique consulting firms and large companies like SAP. No one ever calls it SAP. They call it SAP. Capgemini and Tech Mahindra, always in strategic selling role for the C-suite. He's figured out how to do that which I have not yet. And so I'm going to learn from him. You're going to learn from him, and we're going to just dominate in the marketplace. Got it? So please help me welcome probably the best guy in the world, Mr. Keith Shuley. Come on down.
Hey.
That's it. You got to put.
I have nowhere to go but up from that introduction. Thank you, DJ. But Deejable. That's what you are. Pleasure to be on your show.
Well, thank you. Oops, so much. You know what just happened? This is my alarm that just went off. I set it for like 3 times a day to remind me to practice my goals. Now I have to, because what happens is you read your goals in the morning and you're like revved up and go. And then about, 3 o'clock, you're like, what the hell am I doing here? You don't know what's going on. So you got to keep it up.
Well, I love the fact, I loved your intro with the cold shower. I think cold showers have a lot of, like you said, a lot of lasting power to them. Every morning I get up, I face the day, I tackle it, brother. And to me, I think, it's a mindset, right? Most of how we carry through our day is based upon the foundational elements of what we do when we get up, face the mirror, and tackle it. A lot of people have not been able to get across that bridge of here I am today. Is it another is it going to be another day in the factory, or am I going to do something different? Am I going to make an impact? And I love that you can start your day like that, because it sets the tone for everybody else. In fact, that's what I love about you. I love that about you, is that you really are. You are.
Wait a second. I just put me in the wrong place.
Really is fantastic.
Well, but here's the thing, though, because you've managed to navigate those same kind of philosophies in a different world than I've been able to do. Like, how do you, with the companies that you work with, how do you share that concept of, just go out there and attack the day and all that without kind of, it's not that I turn people off, but when I share that, they're like, oh, well, that's you. You're just a lunatic. Yeah, we can't do that. How do you share that with a culture in that IT world to make them grab hold of it and really, as well as you've been able to help them?
That's a good question, Dan, because it's really critical in today's new environment. Whereas before, we had all these philosophies and strategies and methodologies around how to be a consultative sale, how to guide people through a process. Today, it's more about collaborative selling. And in order to be collaborative, you really have to focus on alignment more than just about anything. And when I say alignment, it's matching people's energy, matching their way of thinking, matching their way of speaking, understanding their nomenclature, and being able to get on the same page with them. That's true collaboration. Believe what you've got to believe, because that's the power that you have. But in order to impart your power onto other people, you need to align. And I think, I watched this movie, Top Gun Maverick, not too long ago, right? Mm-hmm. And I was struck by the two different personality types between Tom Cruise, the bold and brave Maverick who jumps in courageously into the fight. And then there's Iceman, who is very linear and he checks off all the boxes, very thorough and methodical, right? So it's important that whenever you get into any engagement, and before you sort of impart your knowledge and wisdom onto other people, that they see that you are aligned with them. So when I bring back the whole Top Gun Maverick, the personas, you've got to recognize who you are and who your audience is. So if your audience is a bunch of Icemen who think through things with an engineering head, you've got to get off of your platform for a bit and understand how they process information and do it in a way that they can understand, consume, and then align with. So to me, it's really important whenever we go into these opportunities that we align with whoever is the key stakeholder, the way that they think, the way that they speak, and what is important to them. I think it's critically important to understand that, to get to that point.
That's brilliant, by the way. And so you're talking about their personality is going to affect the way they buy and the way you need to present.
It's everything, because people still buy from people. And before you can talk about what your solution is or what your product is, you've got to align with people. You got to earn their trust, their credibility, and their respect. And respect is reciprocal. So in order to gain that respect initially, it's absolutely critically important to sort of take a step back, listen to how they're presenting, and look at the way that they are behaving and match that. And there's nothing wrong with matching, by the way. Matching gives you a level playing field. You're aligning with them almost on a subliminal level. But then once you understand that cadence and that rhythm, then you can begin to impart your ideas, your expertise, your thought processes onto a whole new audience that may be a little bit different than you. So going into any opportunity, recognize your audience, align with them.
Yeah. Well, so listen, so knowing, so when you say, the audience, well, there's a good question. So two questions. One, what do you mean by matching? I mean, is it actually physically kind of mirroring what they're doing? And two, you said you want to know your audience. How do you know them before you meet them?
Oh, well, that's another very important question. I mean, and there is no binary, either or all in question. I mean, answer to that, right? It could be a mixture of both. And I think we got to look beyond just the obvious. Okay, you want to do your homework, understand who you're dealing with, what their role is, what their responsibilities are, what's keeping them up at night, and all those issues that we've heard so often, right? That's nice to do so that you have a foundational element from which to build your scaffolding of a conversation and a relationship. It's important, again, to remember you're building a relationship. Just like you said in the intro, we started off in a cold call, right? But it developed and mushroomed into this wonderful friendship because we aligned so ideally. And I think, as I've mentioned in the past to you, and I have a philosophy about nothing. Right. And
get into that.
It's not, it's not the pursuit of nothing, but I think it's important to go into any opportunity and to show up with nothing so that you can then become the vessel for whatever that opportunity needs it to be. So if you go into a conversation or a meeting and you're so full of yourself and you're so prepared heavily with all this that you want to sort of dump onto people, it doesn't give them a chance to really open up and align with you. So I always try to show up with nothing so that I can become the person of opportunity in that room. So if they need for me to be a certain type of person, I want to be there for them, not just from a professional point of view, but from a personal point of view. And I mean that with all sincerity. And that's hard to do because, for some people going in with nothing, it's frightening. You think to yourself, I have to deliver something. I have to provide value somehow. But when you go in and you eliminate that fear and you embrace change and you're able to say, look, I'm here for you 100%. Whatever it is that you need at this moment, I'm here for you unconditionally. That sets the tone for a better and more respectful and I would just simply say a better foundation for alignment than if you were to go in there with your PowerPoint deck, trying to dump on them your expertise and your thought processes. It's real important, but nothing is a very powerful place to be. And a lot of people fear it because they've never experienced it before. They bring all this baggage with them. But in essence, have you ever traveled, Dan? And I'll give you a good example. One time I flew to Europe and they lost my luggage. It was one of the best trips I ever had because I didn't have luggage to take with me. I was able to travel very fast, be able to go do all the things I wanted to do. So you travel light, and I was able to do, and the lighter you travel, the faster you move. It's a lot easier. So I say eliminate the fear of nothing so that, you can become the most powerful person in the world because everything starts from nothing. And when you have nothing to lose and you become a lethal weapon, my friend. So it's real important to show up, be there for that person 100% and align with them.
That I'm writing that down with the luggage thing. Monte Kia. I mean, that's as good as it gets. I mean, that's as good as it gets. Literal without luggage. You can go, you're lighter without luggage. Gosh. And it's so true. There's actually, when you say to somebody in a meeting that you got nothing, that you're here to learn, you think you're giving up. That shows confidence. They immediately trust you more. I had an example of that. Yesterday I was on an appointment. The day before the appointment, they said, hey, send us your proposal. How much does it cost? And all this stuff. Of course, I don't even have anything. And so I said, dude, hold on to your wallet. I got nothing. I'm here just to find out if we're a good fit. If we are, I'll let you know. If we're not, I'll let you know that too. Fair enough? Like that was my line. And I put a little smile. Always put a little smiley face. It's tough to get tone on a text, So
people can misread text.
I know.
They can misread a lot of different things. And that's why sometimes it's too much context. More is not better, right? Yeah. And sometimes, and this goes into another philosophy that I have. And sometimes what you see is not always necessarily what is the most critically important at times. Sometimes we got to look beyond what's in front of us and what we're seeing and what we think we need to present. And instead, look beyond that. Sometimes it's the things that you can't see. It's the things that are hidden. It's the things that are missing from a picture that can either trip you up or that can turn a conversation or a relationship around completely. And it's important that you recognize that we're all people, and to have that empathy to say we all want to accomplish certain goals and we want to be perceived in a certain way. The best way to do that, I say, is to just get off of yourself and get on to others in a very, very honest way, like you just did with that particular prospect, right? Look, I got nothing. I want to just be here to understand. Let's learn from each other. Let's move forward together. I'm here to help.
Yeah. And you say it out loud. It just like proclaim it. Listen, if we walk out of here with no business, but we just met each other, that's a win. I don't care. It just doesn't matter. You just need to get more people. But have you ever had that? I've had situations where I've hadn't made the sale, but I got a referral from the same person. This, like to go to someone else. Do you ever get in your world? So you're in the high tech world. Many analytical minds, like you said.
Yeah.
How do you penetrate that? So when you're working with a company, in what capacity are you working with them? An IT company trying to get business from another company, or vice versa?
Again, you're trying to put structure on something that's supposed to be fluid. I'm like water. I adapt to the environment. I come in wherever is needed. So I usually build bridges, Dan. I build bridges between the people who have real work to do with regards to building a product or building a certain structure in order to deliver a certain output, and those technology experts that sometimes have a difficulty aligning with the business, right? So technology and business often speak a different language. It's Maverick and Iceman. They speak different languages. Sometimes what you need is someone to build that bridge between the technology, and they're very smart people. Some of these engineers are incredibly smart, and the business key stakeholders are very smart too. How do you bring both worlds together in a way that you can, what I call a transfer of trust or a convergence of trust, where they're willing to open up and admit where they have issues that they need to have corrected or fixed, or to upgrade, or to take it up the next level. And the technologists who have the tech chops, but are trying to understand the business processes, right? Because all these business processes have to align with the technology in order for the technology to be truly effective. So my world is to build these bridges. And what I try to share with people is, look, technology is moving at such a fast pace. This pace of innovation is so fast that it's really difficult to stay on top of it. So you have to embrace change. Inertia will absolutely crush a person. It will crush a company. It will crush an organization. Inertia is what I call bed sores, and bed sores, in the true figurative sense of the word, comes from complacency, lack of movement, and this unnecessary pressure applied to one area. And when people don't move, inertia sets in, and what happens is everything starts to fall in on them. And so what I try to tell people is embrace change. Don't be afraid of it. We got to move forward. If you're not moving forward, if you don't change, change will be forced upon you. So let's change together. And that is real collaboration, how we make that magic happen.
That's cool. And so then how do you work with these companies? Are you just basically on retainer with them type of thing?
Look, I'll do it for free.
Well, don't say that.
No, I'm telling you the truth. If I can help somebody, and if I can help if I can help them build a bridge, or help them make a connection, or network them into someone that they really need to meet with, I'm happy to do it. I'm here on this planet for one purpose, and that is to help my fellow man. And I make no, I don't try to disguise it, and I don't try to, paint a picture on it. Now, I do like to be compensated for my services. I think that's critically important, because that's how you have a value, right? But the real value for me is seeing the outcome. It's seeing the benefit that was achieved by bringing people together. That's the God's honest truth.
Well, if anybody's watching that and needs some help in that, I think I have some people to introduce you right away. Do you? I think I first met you. I met you when I had a staffing company, and I was calling regarding that. What's going on in the recruitment and the there's all this talk about in the IT world, how everybody's being let go or coming back or this, that. What's going on in the world right now? Are there more jobs than people, or more people than jobs now?
Wow. So that's a great question, because it's a very dynamic situation right now. Very, very dynamic. We went through COVID, and COVID, whether it was good, bad, or worse, it was a boon for technology, because it forced people to begin to explore digital transformation. How do I go from manual processes and processes that would be labor intensive to doing things far more efficiently and more effectively on the cloud and with software and software as a service, right? Mm-hmm. So it's forced people to do this massive shift to digital transformation. That's the technology world all aflutter. And so we have people that are onshore, offshore, nearshore, hybrid. We have all these different models. Same with moving to the cloud. There's still people still stuck on mainframes, and they're trying to move to cloud. And how do I do that effectively with all these dependencies? How do I make them move to cloud, modernize my applications without causing massive disruption to the company? So there's all these things going on right now. But with regards to your question, there will always be a need for talent. And that wherever that talent sits, it doesn't matter if they're in the furthest ends of Europe or they're here in Atlanta, Georgia. People want good talent. And when I say good talent, that is thought leadership. And that is someone who can bring new knowledge to the game, who can not just be a tactical player, but a strategic player, a strategic partner. In my world, there's plenty of what we call like monolithic body shops, people building code all over the place, right? And there's so many different tools and so many different platforms that what many companies have is a Frankenstein that they've built up over the course of many, many years. So first, how do I make sense of that? How do I build a better blueprint? How do I get an X-ray of what I currently have, my legacy, in order to move it into a modern environment that is more scalable and flexible and agile? These are the questions everyone is going through right now. So they are looking for talent, but they're looking for talent that can accelerate their time to market or their time to value. They're not looking for people to just sort of fill in seats, right? That's been commoditized. They're now looking for strategic partners and really highly specialized talent that can take them to the next level.
Yeah, and that's great. And everybody needs to hear that average doesn't work anymore. I mean, nobody needs the average, they can get that anywhere. But talent, real, I always tell everybody in the sales world, if you want to connect with bring value, not fluff. Fluff is all over the place. And so real people can get out there. You managed to always stay on top of your game with your guns. So you've been working out? Is that the whole thing?
But to see you do that, it gives me a chill up my spine. So I love watching you. You can flex anytime there, big guy. I think that's great. No, I do work out. I would say 4 times a week at least. And I do it because I think that there needs to be this equilibrium between the mind, body, and spirit. I think if you can't dedicate some time to have fun, to exercise your body and exorcise some of the demons that are clouding your head, some of the fears and the doubts, and to do it in an environment that says, look, I'm doing something productive for myself. I'm clearing my mind. I'm getting a fresh perspective on things. That's why I go to the gym. And then, of course, you have family, right? So if you put some of those three dynamics in place where you have family, fun, and work, they all should have their own place. And I try to give each its own place so that I can have a fresh perspective that is not tainted or jaded. Because I tell you this, Dan, I've been around the block a long time. Whenever you see people that have succumbed to falling into a rut and just doing the same grind day after day after day, just trying to stay alive, what they get into what I call survival mode, right? That's the limbic part of the brain. And what you'll end up with is a person who is not happy, and rather they are very curt, they become very quiet. And when they do speak, sometimes they have a tendency to lash out because they have all this pent up frustration inside. So part of my reasoning for going to the gym or for, meditation, or to even taking my little Frenchie for a walk every night. It's to try to bring all those elements of our being together. Every person should have moments of quiet, moments of happiness and elation, enthusiasm, like you bring to the game. That to me is power. That's real power.
Yeah. I was thinking about this earlier. I was taking a walk and I had an idea, so I had to run back and jot it down. And I thought to myself, every good idea I've had while I was doing something else. I can't remember just kind of sitting down and just coming up with a good idea. My body was in motion, creating something. Yes. Even that stupid cold shower thing. I had to run out of the cold shower because I had an idea and I write it down. It's easy to do it now because, the kids left the house. They're all living alone. So I could run around naked. The first time when your kids first leave, you're naked all the time running around your house. Well,
this is going off into another direction between the cold shower and being naked. I'd rather stay focused on the fact that, what I love is that you're open to your own creativity. Because what I see in my world so many times, Deej, is that we become clones. We become these cheap imitations of what we think the world needs for us to be. And we somehow forfeit that uniqueness that God gives us to say, hey, I'm giving you gifts that I've never given anybody else in this world. So I want you to enjoy that, explore that, expose your potential, recognize that you've got a point of view, and that point of view is so unique and so valuable. You should never let anyone stifle it, never let anyone try to sort of paint over it, because that to me is really what success is all about. Some people measure themselves with a metric of success that's either based on money or how much I can produce over here or what I can do over here. But for me, the metric of success is being true to myself, doing what I believe is the right thing to do to help others to be successful, and to be open to my own creativity. And I think sometimes when you do that, that's when you open up new avenues of opportunities and possibilities that perhaps you wouldn't be doing if you're just sitting there in front of your laptop, hammering away, trying to hit some sort of mystical quota number. So it's real important that you take time for yourself to open that up and be willing to explore that side of yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you talk about that meditation woo-woo stuff that you do in the morning, but I'm totally into that. I think that there are actual, when the self-talk that we do in our heads, I think they're actual saboteurs. They're people that are just coming in there, sneaking their way in. And it could be, I have a problem with, pleasing. And you might have this too, that I'm willing to sacrifice all just to please. So someone says, oh, thank you, Deej, that was awesome. I appreciate, how much am I going to give just for that? And, pleasing could be one, or restlessness. Sometimes I just need to do something else because I'm hyper. Oh, let me do something. Oh, look, squirrel. And I'm there. And so they will sabotage. And then of course there's self-doubt. The other day I came up with something, actually the cold shower thing that I came up with is, I was trying to create something new, and I'm like, I don't have to worry. I know this could work. It's already been done. And so that was my thing. If it's been done, it can be done, And so, those ideas. And so, but I was having self-doubt with that thing at the beginning. So those saboteurs are there all the time, and you got to work them out.
Dude, big guy, I absolutely love that. I love that you're honest enough to put that out there. I have what I call a failure faith continuum, right? I think we start out every day wanting to be perfect and wanting to do everything right. And in so doing, sometimes I think we set ourselves up for failure. And sometimes that failure can cause more self-doubt, more fear of trying new things. But that's when faith needs to kick in. So we are only changed when we are challenged. We're only challenged when we fail. And so somehow along that line, you got to sort of figure out, wait, I got to learn from this, and my faith will take me to the next step, and it will make me more successful the next time I do this. So this whole failure faith continuum is very important because it eliminates failure. It embraces failure because you know that you're going to get better the next time. When Tom Brady throws an interception, Dan, he doesn't crush himself and cower and give up. If anything, he picks himself back up, thinks he's going to go for it even better the next time. That's why I think it's so important that we not get in a rut and not allow fear and self-doubt and all these other preconceived notions that maybe people want to layer on us as to what success is, in order to really get through that and to have this confidence. And like you exude this confidence. And
it could be all fake.
Authentic. And I ask myself, why aren't more people like this, right? Why aren't more people like this Tom Cruise, who's so willing to jump in, be happy, be proud, and put it out there? You punch a hole through the heavens and you say, here I am. I admire that because in many ways, people need to see that also is possible. You don't need to be that person who's sitting in the corner and just taking direction. You can be someone like a Dan Jordan who's helping lead someone to the next level. And I think that makes the difference because everyone is bogged down with fear and doubt. Everyone's got it. But somehow, somewhere along the line, you need someone to help you see what your potential is and push it forward. That's next level. And that's what I try to bring people.
Yeah. And thank you for that, by the way. And really that all kind of started with exercise and working out yourself. You don't get the guns on the first time. And you brought up Tom Brady. Tom Brady years ago when he won one of the Super Bowls, I don't remember which one. And I watched an interview with him, and it was a good interview. They actually asked, what brought you to this place and all that. And he said, I read a book. And so I got the book, and the book was like the inner game of tennis. And I don't know why. So I read through this whole book. It was a short little thing. And I got one thing out of it. And I think it was the one thing that he got out of it too, which was they were saying that just practice the swing, just keep doing the swing. You'll just get it. You just got to do it. No one's going to teach you how to do it. And one of the lines was, thank God people learn how to walk before their parents get a chance to teach them. It's like you can't. And I was thinking, like, if you have a kid and they're 1 year old and they're not walking yet, and you'll say, try walking, and then it's a year and a half. When's the point where you say, you know what, you're just not a walker? We're just going to give up on that. You're not one of those that walk. No, you do it until do it until, and you can't teach someone that. You got to fail over and over and over again. I recently had a presentation that I had to give to a bunch of really top CEOs of companies who have gone through a lot of private equity mergers and acquisition. And they wanted to find out about mergers and acquisitions, which I've done presentations on that before. And I went in front of this group, and there was about 15 of them on a much higher level than I was prepared to deliver. I've never bombed so badly. I mean, to the point, if you don't have anything more than this, I think we should just go to lunch. That's what happened. It was over Zoom, so I was able to crawl into my corner and die. But it would have done better if I was in person. I could have been able to manipulate. But it was a terrible, terrible failure. Called up the guy the next day, and really what I learned from that is, there's 5 like values that I like to practice and impart on everybody, and you're hitting them all. It's gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, courage, and kindness. And you were talking about why don't people more confident, whatever, because people aren't taught that they have courage, like the courage to call the guy and just not let it go away. I wanted to do it. I wanted to just send him an email, see you later, potato, and I'm done. Here's your money back and all that stuff. But I had to pick up the phone and call him and take what my comeuppance. and felt great afterwards, by the way, and all that stuff. You, in your world, you seem to be passing along that type of confidence and courage to people. And you do it just by working out. You do it just by exercising. How are you able to, again, impart that to people who aren't ready to take it?
Yeah, well, I share with people that, this world is not linear. And I hate to use the cliche, but it really is a journey. It's just like, the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy going on a journey of self-discovery, trying to, capture her courage, try to capture her intelligence, and try to capture all the things that will make somebody a full, well-rounded person, right? So life really is a journey. I think the problem comes, Dan, is we let uncertainty cloud our confidence. We let uncertainty, and again, and the fear of failure, but I would say uncertainty, knock us down. And the way I have looked at it, and again, I've had more failures than I can shake a stick at. And I say that because I look back right now and I say to myself, okay, how am I going to look on this time in my life 10 years from now? Am I going to have regrets that I didn't do what I wanted to do? Am I going to be proud of what I have accomplished and the people that I've worked with? So take this moment in time, right? And stop trying to say that there is going to be some level of certainty, because life itself is completely uncertain. And there is no sort of beginning and an end. And if you go back to the whole idea of this, I have nothing, therefore I have nothing to lose. Picking up a phone and apologizing, or picking up a phone and saying, what did I do wrong? Or how can I be better? Or how can we reshape this, re-engineer this to make it more fit for, then if you have it with that approach, then you're not afraid to pick up the phone, because you're doing it for the right reasons. And if we look at things and say, well, uncertainty is part of this whole process. It's natural. And if we didn't have it, what would our lives look like? If everything was so certain, it would be boring. So these types of things have to reshape us. It has to galvanize us. And it not only, you have to have this faith that no matter where that waterfall takes you, that it's not going to break you, but it's going to make you, and it's going to take you on the next part of your life. So if you look at this and say, you know what, I embrace change, I embrace challenge, I embrace failure, because I know without any question in my mind that it's going to make me a better person, and it's all part of the process, then you look at life and challenges a lot differently. You look at going into the gym differently. No, you're not going to see that immediate output the day one. But if you look at it and say, I'm here to get fresh air, to get a fresh perspective, to exercise and to get the blood flowing and the endorphins flowing, then you're accomplishing. And it's really all about accomplishment. We want to be validated through our accomplishments. But if you take it smaller and look at smaller accomplishments, just getting in the gym is an accomplishment. Just picking up the phone is an accomplishment. Then you have a lot to be proud of. And then you have something to build on. You can't build on something that you are deflated and demoralized with. You've got to build on the little wins that you know in your heart and soul, you're doing it for the right reasons, and it's going to make you an even bigger, better, stronger person that can help other people up the hill. That's
preaching the gospel, brother. This is as good as it. This is sales energizer times 2.
It's the truth. And I literally, I have tattoos on my arms, and one of them is very proud about having faith. You've got to have faith. And the way I look at it, you talked about your parents and learning to walk. And I know you often talk about your father, right? And how you are a father to your son, right? You've got to recognize that we all have, we come from good stock, and that we are in an environment today where anything is possible. We're not in a place where you're born into a certain sect and you're going to stay in that certain sect. As long as you've got your uniqueness, your creativity, your willingness to put it out there, then for the love of God, you've got everything going in your favor. And if you believe in yourself, even if you don't believe in yourself, even if you have to convince yourself, I promise you, you will convince others. It will manifest itself and it will become real. And you just got to believe it, because that's where the power lies. It doesn't lie in some fake false prophet telling you what to do. It's in your heart. It's in the people around you. And that's the inspiration. I think that's the inspiration you give others. And not only do you inspire, but you are an example of it. And that's why people gravitate to you. It's that simple. It's really not very complicated.
Yeah, but you say it well. Well, you know, I can absolutely attest to that. You can lie to yourself enough that it becomes true. So, like, you know, people ask, you know, just yesterday, someone asked me, you know, when was the last time you got sick? And I'm like, I don't get sick. I just don't get sick. And I learned it from my dad. He says, and he said, because he never got sick. And I said, how? And he goes, here's the secret. He goes, if you have a sore throat and a headache and a fever, what do you call it? What would you call it, Keith Shuley?
Well, you're
a cold.
Ill.
Yeah, you got a cold. Yeah, you got a cold. He says, as soon as you define it as a cold, it's going to last for a week and a half. Instead, you just say, I got a sore throat, a stuffy head, and a fever. Goes away the next day. You don't get sick. So you could fool your body. You could fake yourself out. You can do it. And I love the idea about starting small too. When you say just going to the gym is a little success. I have little wins that I like all day long. I have in my notebook, line number 1, wake up. I could check that mother off as soon as you get. That's a boom. I want little wins throughout the day. Push-ups. My goal is to do 1 push-up. Now, I've never done 1 push-up. I always wind up doing more, but it's a lot easier to get down to do 1 than it is to do 100.
I don't think I have that kind of discipline that you have, that kind of a structure. I operate a little bit differently. Like I said, I think I'm a little bit more fluid, but there are certain, let's just say there are certain segments of my day that I try to focus on some things versus others, so that I do have focus. You do have to be, serious and focus on certain things in order to make those changes that are necessary in order to make something happen, in order to make something grow. I don't, for me, it's a little bit more natural going to the gym or going to the office or hunkering down I have a different routine on a Monday than I have on a Friday, for example, especially in sales. I try to follow the flow of what is accessible, what is consumable, is somebody going to be sitting at their desk on 5 o'clock on a Friday evening? I don't think so. So I try to, I'll align. I'll use that word again. I'll try to align with my audience, and I'll align my day to what those requirements or what those priorities are, and I sort of adapt to it. But I think it's to your point. We can't get down on ourselves. Sometimes we are our own harshest critic. We judge ourselves so harshly on these things that are not real. Sometimes you see people on social media and they are celebrities and they're spending money and they're driving flashy cars and they're traveling the world. And I think that's great. But at the end of the day, we've got to recognize that the world is not all glitter. The world
you don't want it to be.
To it. And we've got to find our place and our space and our pace in that world. And it's not, I got to judge my value or judge my, how good am I, my relevance to the world based upon my social media score. I just think that is a metric where you're, again, setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, it really just makes no sense. And I hate to be callous about it, because there are people in true like depression that get into their heads and there's big issues, but really, we live in a time where just about, like you said, everything's possible. I mean, it's just possible. And even better than that, your success, Keith Shuley, this is why I try to help people. Your success, your growth takes nothing away from me. It only helps us all. And when I see somebody, on you said social media with big cars and vacations and stuff, I'm nothing but happy for them. Because I've helped more people. I've personally helped more people become millionaires, than anyone I know. I'm not way more successful than me, is what they do. But I feel no bother from it at all. It just helps everything.
It helps everybody. It ups everybody's game. I root for everyone to be successful. I really do. And today, I've seen the ups and downs, especially in technology. Like I said, it's moved very, very quickly. And I've worked with great leaders. I worked with Estee Lauder for many, many years and Tommy Hilfiger for many, many years. So I know what good leadership looks like. But what I'm seeing that really gets me very excited is this new wave of a new generation of talent coming up, right? And this new generation of talent is into so many more fascinating things leveraging technology. They're into metaverse and gaming and how gaming can be instructional and how to make something that is an affinity of yours. Say, for example, I really love music. How do I take my love of music, bring technology to it to take it to the next level? And so I'm real excited about this new generation of being able to take whatever it is that has been built in its foundational elements, but then taking it to the next level, building upon that to deliver even more greater, richer experiences. And again, to your point, as everyone succeeds, it ups our game. And that to me is really, really important. It's not a no-win situation or
zero-sum game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's really one of those things where if we all work together, we all get better together. And so I'm with you on that. And it's again, that's one of those things, though, Dan, where I think part of our natural fear is, if in this hyper competitive world, if I give you a leg up, that's going to make me a one level lower. And I've often found that it's a big world with plenty of opportunities. And I'm not going to, candy code or try to come up with more platitudes, but I do believe in karma. I do believe in giving and that the universe will give back. I really do believe that. So whenever I give and I give freely, I don't do it with the mindset, I need to get something back. I do it because I think it's the right thing to do. But inevitably, what I see is this ripple effect. And all of the people I used to train when I was much younger, and I worked with the Estee Lauder Corporation, and I trained thousands and thousands of people across the world. The joy for me is to see how they've taken it and they've become professionals and they have become entrepreneurs in their own right. And they still recognize some of the little threads of training that I would provide to them way back when. And that to me is gratification. And that's to me, if we talk about the metric for success, that to me is one of those measures and boxes I can check off. And again, it's not a platitude. It is honestly how I feel. But don't get me wrong, selling is competitive, but you always have to be on top of your game. And that to me is about delivering your best you possible.
Yeah, well, so I guess the entrepreneurial spirit, even if you're in a corporate world, is what you need. Because the entrepreneur.
That's another boy. So you just pluck that out of the conversation. I think that's really important because culture will trump technology every single time, and culture dictates the success of a company, and the culture is driven by the leadership.
Culture dictate. I got to write that one down too.
But you were talking about how this culture can create the right environment or a fertile environment to allow people to be expressive, to have a point of view, to contribute. And as I said earlier, we came from, I came from the 80s where we sort of followed these models, these roadmaps to success. And if you did this type of a program, then you would be successful. If you followed this type of a program, today, I think it's a little bit different. You have to be unique, creative, and be an individual. Today's culture embraces that kind of what I would call critical thinking outside the box, right? In order to really take a company to the next level. We talk about diversity and inclusion, but that includes diversity of thought. That includes diversity of opinion. And once we can all find a common thread, then we can grow together. And I think that's critically important as a team, as a company, because again, I'll use the Tom Brady. You just can't send Tom Brady out on the field throwing Hail Mary passes, hoping to win the Super Bowl all by himself. It doesn't work that way. It takes a team. Everyone has a certain strength and a certain weakness. And how we work together, especially how the coach sets the tone, creates the culture for true teamwork and individuality to flourish, that makes a winner.
You're the best guest ever.
No.
Yeah, I mean, this is like real. I'm learning stuff, and it's thoughtful responses. So how can I help you? So who should I'm going to put your number up here. Who should call you? What is somebody feeling right now in their company that they could use the advice or the counsel of Keith Schuley?
So you had mentioned, I call myself a venture catalyst, right? A catalyzer, right? I'm an accelerant, if you were to put an accelerant on a fire. So I do work with a lot of startups, and I do work with a lot of PE firms that are, in many ways, have plateaued, right? They've taken risks, they've taken chances, and it's gotten them to a certain level. But now they've become complacent, and they become comfortable in that level. And they're trying now to figure out, how do I get new business? Because if I want to grow 20% year over year, I can only extract so much value from my existing customers. How do I get new customers? How do I grow that? How do I cast a much wider net and make these processes repeatable, right? That is the formula for growth and scaling. Anyone can call me if they want to understand how they can do that effectively. But again, it's part mindset and it's part activity. The mindset sometimes is the hardest thing to change, Dan, and that is embracing change. Again, they say, well, we've been doing it this way for 100 years. This has been our formula for 100 years.
People still say that? In 2023, people still say that?
Dan, I'm coaching someone right now who's still using the PowerPoint slides and the Excel spreadsheets from the 80s and 90s. And I'm telling you, it looks desperate, it smells like mothballs, and it doesn't resonate. What I'm trying to force people to recognize is that we have a whole new world with different ways of not only delivering information, but capturing information and then consuming it in a way that can be very productive. And what I find is that so many people are still they're stuck in their environment. And when things don't grow, they get very despaired, and they start cutting corners, cutting costs, cutting quality, and then it gets even worse. You see this landslide of quality and as well as enthusiasm. I try to come on board and I try to get a holistic view of what they are, where they've been, where they want to go, and then what their current processes are in order to take it to the next level. So I'm always happy to help folks because I've seen it 1,000 times. And one of the hardest parts, like I said, is that change of that mindset. Like, I'm willing to do this in order to get that kind of an outcome.
Well, so once you give somebody ideas like that, do you assist them in implementation or just connect them with the right people to implement it?
No, it all depends. It depends on their risk tolerance. It depends upon their threshold. It depends upon their budget. It depends upon, how, let's just say, willing they are in order to make some significant changes. And it's not, when I say significant, I'm talking, like we were talking about earlier, little wins, about getting in there and having a sequence of steps. Again, I'll use the football analogy, right? You're a team, you have a playbook, you scrimmage, and you have these little steps to get you 100 yards downfield. You're not going to throw a 100-yard pass so it's 10 yards at a time. So these are the small changes sometimes you need to make in order to get a different perspective as to what your market looks like and what that market wants. And sometimes it takes an outsider and someone who can give an honest appraisal, and someone who is willing to say, I'm willing to help you by taking you to that. I'll hold your hand as we go through this process every step of the way. So do I help them tactically? I can, I will. It all depends on what they want from me.
Yeah, but I think whoever you get involved with, their culture will be improved. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed this. It's been like an hour. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I like talking to you because it's like thunder and lightning, and your energy is very real. I was saying earlier that I think what I love about you is that you have mastered the art of reverse trash talk, right? Which is you put out all these positive statements that are real, they're authentic, but you do it in a very, very declarative fashion. You tell people, look at you. You look great. You're well groomed. You took a cold shower. You're ready to tackle the day. You've got your fancy monogram shirts on, those baby blue eyes. You're amazing. And you set the tone for other people. And what I love about you is that energy, and I tell people too, that energy is like anything else in nature. It literally feeds you, and your energy feeds me.
Okay,
It excites me, and it will carry me through the rest of the day. So what we have here is a really perpetual motion and positivity. And
welcome to the Mutual Admiration Society. Well, this is great. I appreciate you, and I am going to call you regarding some clients too that need to talk to you, and we'll go from there. I've taken very few times doing these things have I taken notes, and I'm doing it here with you. I appreciate you, your family, your parents for birthing you. I wish nothing but good things to happen to you for the rest of your life. And all you out there who are watching, eat well, live long, and prosper, and go get them today. I don't have an outro, so I just have to end it. All right. Chris Stone, we need you. Talk to you later.